Guys, do you know her? No? How about him? Come on, guys, they just got here. They only been here a few weeks. They are part of the posse that was being murked in their country that they have colonized, and Trump brought them over here. But here's the T-hole. This dude has murked his wife. He rustled her up, choked her out, and now she's a useless white crayon. Somewhere in a box, maybe still in the freezer. Oh, he's been arrested. But here's the thing. White people are bringing crime to this country.
They're bringing
They're
crime.
rapists. They're drugs mulers. They're just bad people. And your guy Trump said these people was going to make America great. They was going to contribute something to America. Well, fucking well.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be real. I want us to have a very real conversation, raw conversation about race, privilege, and American immigration policy. Because what's happening right now, it's got people fired up, and rightly so. Yep. So the current president of America, Donald Trump's decision to grant asylum to white South African Afrikaners. Yes, the very group historically linked to apartheid is making serious waves, and not just because of the policy itself, but because of what unfolded since they arrived in the United States. So, what am I talking about today? Guys, this is not about being anti-immigrant. I'm not anti-immigrant. This is about fairness. Let us talk about hypocrisy, about how immigration laws seem to bend and break depending on the color of your skin and the power of your passport. One of the most shocking developments is this. A white Afrikaner man, newly arrived in the United States, allegedly murdered his wife within just 30 days of arrival. That single act sparked outrage, and it lit a match under an already tense debate. So today, I'll be breaking it all down. Why this immigration policy struck such a nerve, why critics are calling it racial favoritism, and what the hell all this means for the future of justice, equality, and public safety. So, guys, I'd like you to strap in. It's not going to be easy, but yeah, it's a conversation we can't afford to ignore. I'll be back with my further analysis.
It hasn't even been 30 days, and we're learning that one of the white South Africans has his wife here in America. I'm going to get the details, bring it back to you, but they haven't been here for 30 days and he already his wife on American soil. I'm laughing because we were told that they were being persecuted in South Africa. We were told that they are upstanding, blah, 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 blah. American authorities had to arrest him. I'll be back with that story. Guys, do you know her? No? How about him? Come on, guys, they just got here. They only been here a few weeks. They are part of the posse that was being murked in their country that they have colonized, and Trump brought them over here. But here's the T-hole. This dude has murked his wife. He rustled her up, choked her out, and now she's a useless white crayon. Somewhere in a box, maybe still in the freezer. Oh, he's been arrested. But here's the thing. White people are bringing crime to this country.
They're bringing
They're
crime.
rapists. They're drugs mulers. They're just bad people. And your guy Trump said these people was going to make America great. They was going to contribute something to America. Well, fucking well. Can't make this shit up.
Trigger warning. Remember those people not too long ago that came from South Africa because they made up a genocide and they were like seeking asylum, and some of them settled in... Yeah, well, one of them already killed his wife. I mean, this was on the 24th of May in Virginia. He strangled her to death. What's wild about it is my first thought was like, dang, maybe he did come over here to do that because maybe he'll get away with it. Maybe he'll get a pardon. Maybe. And not too long ago, that would have sounded ridiculous for me to say. But here we are. What if he does get a pardon? Like he'll claim like emotional distress or something.
A South African woman from Cape Town was killed by her husband in Virginia, USA. Kim White Towne was killed in a domestic-related assault on Sunday, May 24, 2025. According to a report by the Fairfax County Police, they responded to a domestic dispute just before 8 p.m. at the Towne home on Sunday. They found Kim's husband, Alexander Towne, who told them that he assaulted Kim physically, choked her, and killed her. Kim suffered trauma to the upper body and was declared dead at the scene. Their 3-year-old son was in the house when his mother was murdered. After the incident, Alexander stayed at the scene until the police arrived. He was arrested and kept in custody at the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center. He is charged with second-degree murder with no bond. Kim's brother Jason reportedly said this was not the first time that the couple was involved in a domestic violence dispute. He said their mother begged her to come back home numerous times. Alexander will appear in court in July.
You guys remember the refugees that just touched down in the United States last month? Remember those that were running from being murdered? Well, one of them just murdered his wife. Yes, the white South African strangled his wife to death. So it looks like Trump is filling the country up with murderers and criminals, not deporting them, not getting rid of them. Because don't forget now, he brought in the cartel family, 17 members of them, I believe. And we know what the cartel does. Now we got this murdering South African over here. Maybe before he's through, this country will be overran with murderers and criminals. That's what it looks like he's trying to do to me. So far, he's 2 for 2. These are the people he's bringing into this country. Murderers, drug dealers, all kind of craziness. Is this what y'all got? This what y'all looking for? Yeah, I guess hard-working immigrants that were out, picking your fruit and harvesting your crops and working on your construction sites and working in your homes and the lawn care people. I guess they're just deplorables. But you get a whitey from South Africa strangling his wife, you got something. In Trump's eyes, anyway. Just thought I'd bring it to you guys. Let me get out of here. Before I go, I just gotta know, is it great again yet? My friends are really, really stuck on that question.
They only want white people here. Because when we think about refugees who need immediate resettlement, expedited screenings, we usually think about people who are fleeing extreme violence, persecution, famine, war in places like South Sudan, Myanmar, the Congo, not white Afrikaners. See that chartered plane the Trump administration is sending? It's not going to collect refugees that have been sitting in resettlement camps for years, fully vetted, waiting to come to the United States to escape violence. No, it's going to South Africa to collect white people who claim they're being discriminated against. Why would they be getting discriminated against? Probably because they spent generations instituting legalized forms of racial segregation and discrimination called apartheid, aka Stephen Miller's wet dream. See, while the rest of the world after World War II saw that maybe racial discrimination not such a hot idea and favored more policies of integration and away from colonization, Afrikaners doubled down on that shit and instituted apartheid. Although it ended over 30 years ago, the social and economic legacies of apartheid continue today. South Africa is the most unequal country in the entire world, according to the World Bank, with white South Africans earning over 12 times what black South Africans do. But don't worry, we're going to make sure that the white Afrikaners who instituted generations of discrimination and segregation against black people get everything they need to get started here in the United States in their new life.
Okay, guys, really quick. I do have a case here for you. Fortunately, this time, it does not involve farm attacks. Unfortunately, it does involve a young couple of Afrikaners. On May the 24th, Alexander Towne from Cape Town, South Africa, called the Chantilly, Virginia police, informing them that he had assaulted his then wife, Kim Whitetown, also from Cape Town, South Africa, a teacher there who had moved here to the U.S. allegedly due to the crime in South Africa. Alexander Towne informed the police that after assaulting his then wife, he believed that she was no longer with us. After arriving at the scene of the crime, the police confirmed that Kim Whitetown, unfortunately, is no longer with us. It is unfortunate that allegedly they came here to avoid the crime in South Africa, and it turned out like that.
I know you might be asking yourself a question. How did we get here? Why South Africans, the Afrikaners, granted refugee status in the first place? So, according to Trump administration, they were fleeing a so-called genocide attempt in South Africa. But experts and global human rights organizations quickly called that claim false. There was no genocide, no widespread persecution, and these were not people escaping war, famine, or ethnic cleansing. So, as I always say, I'm not a mathematician, but I want us to look at the numbers. Afrikaners make up only about 7% of South Africa's population, yet they still control more than 70% of private land. They are descendants of apartheid rulers who systemically oppressed black South Africans for generations. So the idea that they are now the victims, that's really hard to sell. But somehow they boarded chartered flights. They were welcomed with open arms and were given, according to multiple sources, these are not my words, furnished homes, phones, support services, and fast-track pathways to citizenship. Benefits that countless immigrants, many black and brown, have waited for years or even decades to access. Now, this one raises the question everyone is asking. So, who is considered worthy of refuge in America? Because it sure seems like it depends on your race. Meanwhile, uh, migrants from Haiti, Sudan, El Salvador, these are people fleeing real chaos, are deported, detained, or outright ignored. And then here comes a group historically responsible for enforcing racial segregation, getting the red carpet treatment. And now, just weeks after arriving, one of them is accused of murder and unaliving his wife. That's not even tragic, it's symbolic. It exposes the shaky foundation of the entire rationale for their admission. Now, guys, as I jump into this next chapter, I want you to listen to me very carefully. This incident isn't just about one man. It's about a system that time and again protects privilege, excuses violence, and rewrites history to benefit those already at the top. The argument for bringing Afrikaners into the US was that they would assimilate easily, that they shared cultural values with Americans, that they will help make America great again. So I want us to be honest with ourselves. What exactly does that mean? Because sure didn't mean safety for Kim Whitetown, that woman allegedly murdered by her Afrikaner husband. Well, and it sure doesn't reflect the so-called moral high ground America claims to hold. People are very angry right now, by the way, and not because they aren't they're anti-immigrant, but because they see the double standard, the hypocrisy. Refugees of color are treated like threats. White refugees, they're handed starter kits and welcomed into suburbia. We watched children from Central America separated from their parents at the border. We saw how black immigrants from the Caribbean and Africa locked in detention centers. But Afrikaners, linked to one of the most brutal racial regimes in modern history, were embraced as innocent victims. I want you to get me clearly. I'm just trying to pass some education knowledge. This is not just racial bias, it's policy based racism, and it really matters because it matters for every refugee who's been denied safety because of where they're from or what they look like. It matters for every black American watching their own government hand out opportunities to people whose ancestors would have denied them basic human rights. And it matters because how the so-called harmless group involved in a violent crime within 30 days of arrival. That's crazy. Okay, so we've been told that these immigrants will blend in seamlessly, but violence, domestic abuse, and privilege, right, unchecked. That does not sound like progress. That sounds like white supremacy being given a second chance on new soil. Now we have to ask, what will happen next? Will more Afrikaners be allowed in? Will anyone be held accountable for this immigration? Or will the US quietly sweep this tragedy under the rug like it's done so many times before? Okay, uh, this is not just a scandal, it's a moment of reckoning, a moment where we as a country decide whether our immigration policy stands for justice or for whiteness. Because right now it's looking real familiar and history is watching. I want you guys to stay woke, I want you guys to stay alert, and always question the narrative because the truth is never black and white. Thank you for watching this video. Tell me what you think about this about this video in the comments. What's your take on this? And most importantly, don't forget to like this video so that the YouTube algorithm can be very favorable to me and it can suggest this video to as many people as possible, and we can share this message to a broader audience. Also, subscribe to this channel, support me, and most definitely don't forget to turn on post notifications because every day I post videos like this and I'd like you to be the very first person to watch my videos. I hope to see you in my next video. Peace out.